Organizational awareness. Ideology is a tool for confrontation, to be employed in moments of certainty. It's confronted with counter-ideologies and refutes them as insufficient or invalid. It's an attempt to always overtake and defeat inferiority. This is true in the ways that ideology is interiorized and in the ways it exteriorizes with or without intent. Ideology is the world, the totality of our understanding of everything in every action, every moment, every object. It's the weapon we're wielding whether we know it or not. It's the threat we're making, intentionally or otherwise. It's the conception that we have of the world and of other people. Therefore, our ideology tells us about ourselves, and in doing so, it implies theory. Theory is a tool for application, to be employed in moments of openness. It's confronted with the contradictions of the current situation, furnishing analysis and method for understanding. As a tool, theory is an ice pick, a Dremel, or a carving knife. It's not a kiln, a paintbrush, or a coat of shellac. The conflict of theory is neither internalized nor externalized, because it is self-reflective. Its conflict is with its own insufficiency and incompleteness. Theory establishes responsibility. This means finding out and learning what is not known, intentionally recognizing what has been ignored, and making authentic, good faith efforts to understand. Therefore, in practice, theory assumes and employs ideology. To synthesize, we need our ideology to serve as our tradition because it is distinct from that of the oppressors. But we must resolutely reject ideology as traditionalism, which would be the equivalent of using a protective instrument as a form of terror. It is here that theory is employed to understand where, how, and when to use ideology, without abusing its force and dispersing its impact. This theoretical insertion intentionally breaks from the fixed ideological tradition and necessitates a new, subsequent ideology to be developed. The self, transformed by rigorous reflection, mirrors the group, transformed by the fruits of this reflection, namely ideology and theory. Pre-reflectively, we're conscious of the dialectical movement between ideology and theory. But if we formalize our interrogation of this movement, self-awareness can become collective awareness. The former, though often associated with internalization, can be theoretically opened up to revolutionary forms of externalizing itself. The latter, typically a vague ethical concept, or the simple accumulation of individual awareness, can be ideologically centered, rather than self-centered. In this way, awareness of a group can be based on shared ideology, instead of on particular individuals or relationships. And from an informed perspective of collective awareness, individuals can reflect on themselves in order to develop militant awareness. The self-defense function of ideology allows a specific group of militants to practice social insertion, confident about ethically working with others because the differences are well known. Ideology makes distinctions possible so that personal lines can be respected. In addition, explicitly formalized ideology can prevent ranting when engaged in social movements, because in articulating it, ideology defines opponents. Combating these opponents is a choice that should be made strategically and theoretically. The assertive function of theory informs the work done with others, and after future reflection, it will also inform the new ideology. Theory allows us to interpret and prioritize actions and events by connecting the past to the present moment, as well as to individual militants. Through struggle, a group of militants may develop organizational awareness. This steady but not stable perspective does not change easily. Reflection at this level requires a high degree of accountability exceeded by an even stronger sense of responsibility. At best, this discipline is found in the militancy of an active minority. They will know that an organization should serve as a base camp, a launching off point, but that it is sluggish, like an aircraft carrier, and powered by institutionalized ideology. Organizations are necessary and important, but they require their own theory for steering and maintaining. Also, the organization does not do the social work, the militants do. Over time, a dual power structure will depend on specific militants to continue the dialectical work on the ideology and theory. And the militants will be aware of the importance of this work, because it is the foundation of our ability to work together in radical ways. Hopefully, their reflection occurs in a specific group of like-minded militants, and that their organizational struggles are external, not internal.